This is the In Focus podcast from The Hindu.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the In Focus podcast. I'm your host, G. Sampath. A lot has already been said and written about the results of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, but a lot more still remains to be unpacked and decoded. While the Narendra Modi-led NDA have secured a majority, the BJP itself has fallen short of the 272 halfway mark by 32 seats. Is there a message in this mandate? It has been said that this is a vote to save the constitution. It has been said that Indians have shown the limits of communal polarization as a vote garnering tactic. And it has been said that this is an election where bread and butter issues such as unemployment, inflation, the Agniveer scheme and exam paper leaks have trumped the discourse of Mandir and Mangal Sutra. So is there an overarching message or theme or a set of themes in this mandate, or is it a patchwork of several factors and concerns that cannot be coalesced into one? So, and what went wrong for the BJP, which was expecting 350, 370 plus, but has lost seats in several strongholds, and what went right for the India alliance? And does this verdict really mark the beginning of a new coalition era in Indian politics, as several observers have been saying? We discuss all these questions in this episode of In Focus, and we are joined by political analyst Rahul Verma from the Center for Policy Research, New Delhi. Rahul, welcome back to In Focus. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sampath, for having me.
So to begin with, Rahul, I want to just give you a very broad question. How does one interpret this mandate? Every party and every commentator, depending on their proclivities and biases and inclinations, draws a different kind of a signal or a message. What do you, as a detached observer, think were the main issues that people have voted on by and large?
So, Sampath, to be frank, at the moment, what it seems that there is no overarching or single theory that can explain this outcome. And let me explain why I'm saying this. BJP, yes, it has suffered a massive loss. While it continues to remain the single largest party by a big margin, it has got 60 seats lesser from 2019 mark. It has faced a kind of rout in its core state of Uttar Pradesh and lost significant number of seats in Rajasthan, West Bengal, Haryana. But then it has managed to, continue to dominate the belt of central India, right from Gujarat to the Orissa coastline, right? And in that sense, it has been able to safeguard some states and have also been able to break into new territories. It's going to form government in Orissa for the first time. It has improved this situation in Telangana and little bit improvement in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. And with alliance, it has...
No improvement in Tamil Nadu. You mean vote shares, Rahul? Because they haven't won anything.
I see little bit improvement in terms of vote share, right? Like they contested single-handed and they're now double digits in vote share there.
Right.
So, and similarly, if you look at for the opposition parties, the alliances have worked in some place. UP and Maharashtra would be a good example. But that alliance did not work in Delhi or in Bihar as it was expected. Similarly, for the Congress party on its own, gave good challenge to the BJP in Rajasthan and Haryana, but they were expected to do better in Karnataka. That didn't happen. Nor they have been able to break the stranglehold of BJP in Gujarat or Madhya Pradesh or Chhattisgarh. So to me, there is no single overarching narrative or analysis or theory that emerges from this election. Each state seems to have gone in a very different way. It is also possible, and some of the issues that you mentioned about bread and butter issue, about too much of sort of like religious polarization, the joblessness, the unemployment, the worry of youth on paper leak. I think the confluence of some of these factors, and then, of course, the demography and other things, resulted things in one way in one state and another way in other state.
Right. So you're saying that there is no overarching kind of a message or a mandate, but it's a number of factors. But if you zero in on from a national perspective to specific states, if you look at the battleground states such as UP, Bengal, and Maharashtra, there was a lot of confidence in the BJP, at least with regard to Uttar Pradesh. What do you think went wrong? Was the caste equation, the composition of the selection of candidates as an issue? And I'm particularly curious about this theory, which is sort of doing the rounds, that Yogi Adityanath was not really playing ball in terms of the campaign because the choice of candidates were not to his liking and so on. So was there some kind of an internal issue as well that played a part in the BJP's setbacks in UP?
See, Sampath, I think some of these factors, such as internal struggles, may have resulted in what you're seeing today. But I don't want to again focus on that being a single sort of like explanation for what happened in a state like UP, right? Why did we not see that happening? Say, same thing happening in state of Madhya Pradesh, which borders UP. Shivraj Singh Chauhan was not given another chance in Madhya Pradesh. So yes, I think the factional fight might have played a role to an extent, and then it also so that's why I like in my first answer I said it's confluence of factors. I think bread and butter issues. Then I think Ab ki baar 400 par and opposition's counter offensive on that. That BJP needs this kind of numbers to perhaps change the constitution and take away your rights, such as reservations among lower caste might have not got down well, and there might have been some movement. So at this moment, there isn't enough sort of like analysis that has happened to be able to concretely point out why did you get the result what you got. But I would say that yes, it's possible that internal dissent might have also played a role. And just to like add a bit on that point, UP is one of those states. If you look at BJP's ticket distribution, BJP had renominated more members of parliament in proportion in comparison to what it has been doing. Around 100 MPs were not repeated this time. And the number of MPs who were renominated happened a little bit more in UP. In UP, 75% almost tickets were MPs were renominated. So maybe there was some local level anti-incumbency that also played a role. But one single factor is not going to explain the route that BJP saw in UP. I don't think, at least I did not expect this kind of route for BJP in UP.
Right. I mean, related to this, Rahul, one of the interesting data points, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the vote shares in detail, but one of the narratives, sub-narratives, so to speak, which have emerged is that the rural voter and the semi-urban, semi-rural voters and Dalits, they have really seemed to have shifted their votes and sort of climbed down from the Hindutva bandwagon, so to speak. So is this in a way also what we are seeing, a case of subalterns, of the subaltern Hindutva phenomenon, sort of taking a step back from the Hindutva?
See, again, Sampath, I think this is going to be my line everywhere. Like any theory that you come up for one state is not going to apply to the other state.
No, what about UP? I'm talking about UP only, not everywhere
else. How can we make a theory just about UP if it cannot explain what's happening in Madhya Pradesh or Bihar? You see similar level of poverty levels in these, like across the Hindi heartland. In Madhya Pradesh, BJP has been able to improve its vote share has got all 29 seats, or in Bihar, where it was expected that alliance is not going to work well, and there is a very sort of like solid mobilization by RJD on similar questions, right, of caste census, of a reservation being taken away, hasn't resulted in the kind of things you are seeing in UP. So yes, it is like, I think the overall result, not just in UP, if you look at all India numbers, the BJP seem to have done much lower in comparison to past in seats which are SC reserved. Their number seems to have declined, vote share, especially in seats that you are going to classify rural compared to urban. So yes, I think the broad trend of economic distress and lower caste communities sort of like shifting slightly away from BJP is definitely happening nationally as well. But you have to keep in mind, because UP is almost 17% of India's population, any big shift there is going to change the national numbers.
Right. So economic distress and the Dalit and other lower caste shifting away from the BJP, I think, is something which we can draw on, and the issues they would connect to, I mean, is what I think. I mean, we were talking at like one remove from this. The issues they would connect to is, of course, the fear of reservations being taken away, and of course the related to issues of democratic erosion, constitution, and of course economic distress as well. Now, you spoke about Bihar, where RJD did a strong campaign on caste census and so on. What explains the India alliance's underperformance, if one may say, vis-a-vis their own expectations in Bihar?
Again, I don't know state by state what happened at this moment of time. It could be that there is a limit to any kind of political mobilization. It is also possible, I think, the kind of campaign or energy that Tejasvi Yadav managed to do in the first two phases, he couldn't continue with the same vigor as he had sort of like back issues and some health issues as well. And two, I think the NDA coalition in Bihar is, in terms of social coalition, is much more formidable. So BJP could mobilize upper caste and JDU can mobilize lower OBC communities, and LJP can mobilize Dalits, right? So in that sense, there were three alliance partners who could mobilize three big chunks of Hindu constituency. So maybe like NDA had a much more formidable political and social coalition in Bihar comparison to UP.
Right. Also in UP, I think Akhilesh Yadav was able to do something different this time in terms of ticket distribution for Dalits and going beyond the Yadav community as well. Is that a valid kind of a...
True, Sampath, absolutely. And it's also possible that, like some people have pointed out, that perhaps there is much more assertiveness among lower EBCs and especially Dalits in UP, given that BSP has been in power and had mobilized these communities in a very different way than what LJP has managed to do in Bihar. So the consciousness among Dalit community in UP might be very different in comparison to Bihar.
Right. Now, coming to Odisha, Rahul, like, was it expected? I mean, let's forget the exit polls, but in terms of the pre-exit poll period during the campaign, did we expect BJP to make such spectacular inroads in a bastion, in a place which used to be a bastion of Naveen Patnaik for long, and he was considered invincible? What changed to sort of puncture that invincibility this time around?
Even last time, if you look at 2019, BJP has been able to make decent inroads in Odisha, especially in Lok Sabha elections. They had won 8 seats out of 21, 12 seats out of 21, while BJD had got 8 seats. Though the results in the assembly elections, which were held simultaneously, were very different. So there was expectation. And if you remember, just before the 2024 election campaign had begun, there was a conversation of an alliance between BJP and BJP that did not materialize. And some people say that within the BJP leadership, there was this assessment that we can make through on our own this time in Odisha. And so if you look at the Lok Sabha results and assembly results, while BJP has won both, the contest seems to be much more tighter in assembly election compared to Lok Sabha election. And so it seems that the Biju Janata Dal focused a little bit more on retaining the assembly, while they thought that there is some kind of momentum for BJP in Lok Sabha election. So while they put up a fight, perhaps there was a realization within the Biju Janata Dal camp. Now, why it happened? One, there was a momentum that was getting built over a period of time. Any majority or party is not going to be permanently in power. Naveen Patnaik has been there for more than 5 terms, so there must have been some built-up anti-incumbency. He's also getting old in that sense, and there is no clear second line of leadership, though some people have started calling the former sort of IAS officer Pandian as the next leader of BJD. BJP tried to make a issue of his identity as well. So perhaps a confluence of some of these factors allowed BJP to improve on its performance of 2019 and do exceptionally well this time in Odisha.
Right. I mean, anti-incumbency to some extent, and also an increasing momentum in its favor. I think we have seen this, BJP able to do this in different states. And if you go south from Odisha, this same pattern seems to be emerging. I mean, over a couple of elections, they slowly increase their vote share. They may not win any seats, but their vote share keeps creeping up. And finally, they do in Odisha. So is that something that one could anticipate in the south as well? Because their vote shares have jumped significantly. In Kerala, it's gone from 13 to 16.6%, even though they have won just one seat, opened their account, so to speak. And in Tamil Nadu, they've jumped from 3.6 to 11.24%, even though it's a clean sweep, so to speak, for the India alliance. So does this indicate that the BJP has actually made or registered impressive gains in the south over and above the seats that they have won? And what is this growing attraction for the BJP there?
So, first of all, BJP, do aspire to become a pan-India party and not just a party which wins most of its seats from Northwest India. And in that sense, if you think about it, so in 2014, they consolidated their position in the northwestern part of India. In 2019, you saw them first time winning seats in northeastern states. So, and in a big way in West Bengal. And so that basically signaled that in 2019, BJP had been able to break in the eastern part of India. And this election, in that sense, signals that now BJP has been able to put up its sort of like a footprint across the Bay of Bengal coastline and in the southern tip of India in a much more effective way. Now, where does BJP goes from here? So it could be a slow rise where, like in Kerala, they have been now getting around 15% vote share for a decade. But this is the first time they got a seat. Whether they can grow any further or remain there for some more years, same thing might happen in Tamil Nadu, where they have 11-12% vote. But can they suddenly jump into the 20s and 30s, or they will remain stuck in the, between around 15 to 20% mark? Because unless they sort of like cross that 20-22% threshold and become a serious third player, they don't start converting into seats. That has been their sort of like strategy in Karnataka for a long period of time. Even in Odisha, once BJD and BJP ties were broken off in 2009, it took BJP some time to reach where it has. And it also happened because slowly Congress party declined in Odisha, and in last election, BJP was able to become party number 2, and this time party number 1. Same thing happened in Bengal, where they moved from a marginal force to main opposition party. They were hoping this time to be able to, get a psychological edge on Trinamool Congress, though exit polls had predicted much higher seats for them. But some realistic estimates were suggesting that we will see a much closer contest where either TMC or BJP may end up with 1 or 2 seats more. What has happened in the end, that TMC has shown its complete domination on Bengal politics. So yes, that's the route which BJP has followed, and
in Bengal, Rahul, in Bengal, the fact that the India alliance was not there as an alliance, it didn't exist. TMC was on its own, and there was the left as well. So how did that affect the outcome vis-a-vis the BJP and the TMC? Did the TMC benefit from it, or the BJP lost from it?
No, I think
because there were triangular contests in many seats, right?
Because the left, like Congress and left, have now some sort of like pockets of stronghold. They are not in that sense a pan-West Bengal party as they used to be 10, 15 years ago. So I think had India alliance been there, then from beginning, it would have been difficult for BJP. I think because left and Congress fought separately and TMC fought separately, I think that had given some elbow room to BJP. And perhaps BJP then overestimated its strength. But ultimately, TMC and Mamata Banerjee, I think Mamata Banerjee had this inclination to begin with, that she's stronger on her own, because I think the demand of the Congress party was not very high. They were just asking for 4 seats, and in 2 or 3 they are strong. So I think that demand could have been accommodated, but she knew that she's stronger on her own, and even if she wants, she can make even the Congress stronghold look like a citadel that can fall, and that's what happened in Behrampur, where Yusuf Pathan has been able to defeat Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary of Congress party.
But you would say that if in case they had kept the alliance at Bengal, BJP would have, the alliance would have gained even more seats than what they've already done with TMC.
It's hard to figure out because it depends on what kind of fragmentation of votes would have happened. But, psychologically, it would have been very difficult for BJP then to imagine that it will be able to even retain what it had, forget about sort of like improving its vote share or seat share. Because then the arithmetic of that alliance would have been high. But what it could have basically done, it would have created this perception that there is going to be a consolidation of Muslim votes, which I think has happened in either way. But that perception might have created a counter polarization among Hindus in some areas. Where I think TMC has been able to sort of make more inroads is within the sort of tribal belt, where BJP had done better last time.
Right. So so there is this line of argument which says that many of the voters who had gone to the BJP, have gone back to the left, and therefore the triangular contest was to the detriment of the BJP and not to that of the Trinamool. I don't know what you make of that line.
Yes.
So one more state-specific question before we sort of pull back for a broader picture, Rahul. So these 3 states which you outlined, where the BJP has completely decimated the Congress, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, and of course Delhi as well. So is there any singular thread of or pattern that you see in these 4 states where the opposition was not able to make any kind of a dent? Is it the fact that the local leadership was absent, or is it that in Delhi there was no coordination between Congress and Aam Aadmi Party, or are there again multiple different kinds of phenomena happening?
See, honestly, if you look at 2014-2019 results, the reason BJP was able to dominate in this way was that in a direct contest with Congress, they were able to win more than 90% of the seats. Starting from Himachal, Uttaranchal, Haryana, Delhi. Delhi, it was a fight with AAP, but Rajasthan, MP, Chhattisgarh, a lot of seats in Maharashtra till Karnataka and Gujarat. I think across this belt, the BJP has continued to dominate. But yes, their domination has suffered a setback in terms of last time they had won 95% odd seat. This time it has come down to 70 to 75%. And the gains for Congress across this BJP versus Congress states have largely come from Rajasthan, to an extent Haryana, and to an extent Maharashtra. And in Maharashtra, it's again, I think the MBA alliance has a much stronger social arithmetic and more seamless transfer of votes. Otherwise, Karnataka, while Congress was expected to do well, it didn't happen. In Haryana, I think the Congress leadership and party is stronger, plus BJP has been now facing serious challenges owing to farmers' protest and then anti-incumbency and then leadership, like local level leadership, not having that kind of traction. So I think overall in this belt, it might also to do with that last time due to Pulwama Balakot effect, BJP had got a big bump, which in a normal election came to its mean, and that gave some advantage to the Congress party to put up some challenge. And this election in that ways hinged on Congress party being able to put up a serious dent on BJP in its own areas. It hadn't done that well, I would say. But of course, in alliance such as UP or Mamata Banerjee hitting BJP in West Bengal, I think that also did a big damage to BJP, why it has not been able to cross or touch.
So if I understand you correctly, are you suggesting then that traditionally from 2014-2019, what you have seen, the Congress versus BJP in one-on-one contest, Congress has really fared badly. But in 2024, where it has fought the BJP as part of an alliance, there has been some transfer of votes, some synergy, and it has been able to do well. And where it has taken on the BJP without the benefit or the bulwark of an alliance, such as in Gujarat or Chhattisgarh, it has again fallen back on the pattern of 2019. Is that an accurate summary of what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Now stepping back from this, Rahul, now going back to the big picture, does this election mark the return of the coalition era which you've seen before 2014, or is this an interregnum, so to speak, during which the BJP might again, as you've said, they have been expanding and they might consolidate and they might make a course correction in UP, we don't know. So how do you see this? Is this the beginning of an era or is it a blip?
Now you are asking me to do a crystal ball thing. And it's hard to do at this point of time because
you can take inspiration. You can take inspiration from the exit pollsters. They don't find it hard enough.
So I think if you ask me a possible scenario, so as an academic, I'm happy to think in terms of scenarios, and scenarios can be multiple. Some can be wrong, and some can be right. So I think it depends on what happens between 2024 and 29, which is that, think of it. If first question is whether BJP will be able to form government or not, and if it happens, whether the government is going to be stable or not. Both these things are going to play into what might happen both within the BJP, but also within the wider political setup. In 3 to 4 months, you are also going to have assembly elections in three crucial states, Maharashtra, Haryana, and Jharkhand. And in these three places, especially in Maharashtra and Haryana, BJP has done really badly compared to its past performance. And so if BJP loses these three states, I think then we are heading into a very different kind of political system. We might actually, like what you are suggesting, then the cracks in this dominant party system would become wider and wider. Uh, However, and this may even lead to midterm elections, and then things are going to be in a very, very different. So, because I think at every 6 months, there is a possibility of different paths that our political system can take. It's hard for me to say what is going to happen in 2029, but it will largely depend on, like the path that you take from now to 6 months. It will open a couple of other scenarios. Similarly, say if there are some national security crisis happens and other things, perhaps BJP would be able to consolidate a little bit more. It will also depend, as you rightly pointed out, for BJP, UP has been really, really important whenever they have come to power, especially because even in 2019, every fifth MP for BJP was from UP. And so if BJP's tally goes seriously down in UP, then their ability to come as a single party majority becomes very, very difficult. What is sort of like keeping them alive for this possibility of 272 is that they have broken into new states, such as Odisha consolidating their position in Telangana. I think they're still far away from winning seats in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, but they have identified new territories and areas for them. But unless there is like the course correction can't be just in terms of organizational and leadership. I think the kind of discussion which we had for last 30 minutes indicate that there is much more economic anxiety in the bottom half of the pyramid than BJP had expected. Perhaps the welfare model has run its course in last 3 years, and they need to innovate on that. Perhaps there is a limit to sort of like dividends coming from Prime Minister Modi's sort of like appeal and the religious polarization. And I think they need to think much more innovatively in next 3 to 6 months on what has gone right and wrong for them. So that's what BJP has to do. At the moment, there is no other party that seems in sort of like, striking distance of to be able to get a single party majority. And so if BJP does not course correct itself, then we might be returning to a coalition era soon.
Right. BJP's course correction possibilities and the assembly elections which are due in Maharashtra, Haryana and Jharkhand. If the BJP doesn't do very well as many would expect, then of course there is a great possibility of some kind of churn and reimagining of this entire political landscape. I appreciate your response for this question, Rahul. And one last question before I wrap up. I mean, now that we have sort of taking sort of a full picture, a full round of the various states and what has been going on across the country, what do you expect now we are talking of government formation and the coalition era? What do you think or expect would be the main bones of contention between the NDA, the BJP, being the lead party and its alliance partners, the BJD, sorry, not the BJD, the JDU and Chandrababu Naidu's Telugu Desam, because we know that this is happening in the context of this entire cooperative federalism being undermined. The federal structure is under a lot of pressure. There is this default setting of centralization with which the Narendra Modi has been operating. So in this context, they have to now change gears and move into a completely opposite accommodative kind of a stance. Are they going to be able to do that? What are your just quick thoughts on this?
I think BJP's ability to form government actually depends on now some concessions that it will have to make to these two allies for sure, because they are going to, without at least one of them, you can't think of government formation, but you need both of them for some sort of elbow room and stability. So that means that BJP will have to definitely put some of its uh, policies on the back burner, especially one nation, one election kind of proposals. It will have to be a little bit more accommodative. Perhaps these parties may think that they would need at least the speaker's position to save off from some kind of poaching. They would definitely want some more concessions for the respective states they from. Last time between TDP and BJP, the bone of contention was a special status to Andhra Pradesh. A similar thing was being demanded even in Bihar. But I think the bone of contention became that both BJP and RJD in Bihar are trying to squeeze JDU. And that's why JDU has been jumping ship from one party to the other in last 10 years or I think to keep a stable coalition government, BJP will have to become much more accommodative of its allies. In the past, its allies dependent on BJP for their performance. Now, I think BJP is going to be slightly more dependent on allies to run the government. And so, so in that sense, BJP has to be a bit more flexible in what it wants to do or not do. Definitely, its government and governance agenda needs to be now rethought in a way that it has to run a coalition government.
Right, the BJP needs to absolutely rethink its governance style for sure. And a very important point you made about the speaker's chair, Rahul, of course, I don't think there is going to be much of a chance of the BJP retaining the speaker's position, because there will be very big fears about poaching. So one of the alliance partners would definitely want that chair. Thank you so much, Rahul, for coming on board. It was a fascinating conversation. I enjoyed it. Absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, Sampath. Thank you. Thank you for having
me. In Focus will be back soon with analysis of the biggest news issues. In the meantime, you can find our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and other platforms. Just search for In Focus by The Hindu. We'll see you soon.